if you're watching this here in the recording, you probably know who I am because you clicked on the button. But I am Kirk M. Samuels, the Intimacy Incubator, and I like to co-create worlds of intimacy and unconditional connection. That's just what I do. And this morning, I'm doing that by introducing you all, everyone that doesn't know, the few of you that doesn't know who this person is. She knows everybody else around town. But I want to introduce the few of you all to my good friend of a couple of years at this point. And she's a dynamic individual. She's a dynamic human being, just period. And I want to introduce all of you to the Money Duchess. That would be Amber Schoenrock. How are you doing, young lady?
Fantastic. It's a great morning.
It's a great morning, but are you awake?
I'm up. I'm ready to do this.
Yeah. It's officially just after 6 o'clock here, Mountain Time, Denver, Colorado area, and both of us are just kind of like, yeah. It's getting darker later, and so we're trying to get our stuff together. And you are actually fighting off a little cold or something like that, right?
Yeah, you know, I just got back from a conference in Las Vegas, and Vegas is Vegas, so brought back some germs from the smoke and everything else with me.
Wow, no, thank you. Well, so again, like I said, you're probably one of the most dynamic individuals, let alone women, that I know of, and I appreciate our friendship over the last couple of years. We've encouraged each other. We've been, I mean, you know, we've hung out. We've done all kinds of stuff. We're determined to change the world.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you on a private jet at some point, owning your own private jet. You're very determined, very goal-oriented. You're a success-driven human being, determined to change the world for the better. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for my Superman cufflinks that you got me. I appreciate those. All your help at my book launch. I mean, you just, you know, when everything was chaos that particular night, I mean, you just jumped in, and I mean, it really touched me that night. So, but none of that is why you're on here this morning. I invited you on here because you are the Money Duchess. Where did that come from?
Where did that come from? That was just kind of in the making as things evolve, and I've been royalty for some time in my life. Actually have lineage of royalty, of Dutch royalty, and so hence Duchess, and I work with money, and so it just kind of evolved over the last couple of years, and actually about to launch a website, and so pretty excited about that too.
Wow. So what's the draw to, when you say you work with money, what does that mean? I mean, you know, I was a cashier at a gas station and I work with money. Is that the same thing, or is it different?
It's a little bit different. I still count money, but
Okay.
So I work with helping people understand how money actually works and how to get it to work better for them as well.
Wow. So not like counting money in a cash register kind of thing. It's actually like counting people's personal money.
That's right. That's right. Although I waited tables, I was a hostess for almost 8 years through high school and college, and so I've done my share of counting the money too. Okay.
So let me cut to a little bit of a chase here. And so in your bio, you say you've been you've been working with, what I think it said, money or women in money for 35 years. Is that what I read?
Yes.
Now, and how old are you?
35.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you came out of the womb kind of doing this thing, or what?
Well, you know, I always joke and I say money is maybe one of the most intimate relationships I've ever had, but if not, it's certainly the longest lasting, and it's something that we have. It's the longest lasting. We are born with money and we'll die with money, and so it's probably one of the longest relationships people will ever have in their lifetimes.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So I'm trying to think of what I've been working with for the past 45 years. I have no idea.
You're
You know,
stuck for money.
yeah, well, I guess that's true. I have, you know, a lot of my kind of circle of friends or whatever, when I refer to you and kind of the crew the crew that we hang around with as my millennial friends. Just because I'm the old guy when we all get together. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, again, and I've kind of seen you. I've seen you in action in a lot of different ways in terms of working with people, not only people in their personal finances, but then also people that that you bring along from a business perspective. And so just getting into the topic of, is money kind of a difficult thing for people to talk about or to deal with or to broach?
Yeah, I think most people were never really taught about money, and so there's a lot of the cliches out there that, you know, wealthy people are greedy, money doesn't grow on trees. I don't know any of the blueprints that you grew up with, Kirk, but I definitely grew up with that one. You know, money doesn't grow on trees and money doesn't buy happiness. And it's really a blueprint that is passed on from generation to generation. So most of our understanding about money is generationally taught to us. And oftentimes it's actually taught by our mothers or our grandmothers in how to, I know when I had a job where I had a 401k, which was my first adult job, and my mom was the one who told me, if you have a 401k, opt in. And that was the extent of my understanding of how money worked. And so I worked in healthcare previously in a previous career, and that was it. I had a 401k, and that was supposed to take me to the promised land, and nobody took the time to tell me what that even meant. I didn't even know what 401k meant. I just knew that part of my paycheck was going towards something else for the next 40 to 50 years.
Wow. And so, so let me take that. Actually, let me back up a little bit. First of all, I mean, did you grow up like in the Hamptons and all that kind of stuff around money, or where'd you grow up?
No, not at all. So just the average middle income family. I grew up in the heart of Littleton, so anybody from Colorado, suburb of Denver, and you know, we ate bologna sandwiches. I refuse to eat bologna these days. So we didn't grow up having a lot of money. We didn't grow up not needing things either, you know, so we were probably lower middle income family. But I always knew that I wanted to have more money, and I was told oftentimes, no, we can't afford it. No, we can't afford it. So I didn't have the luxuries of life, but I wasn't starving either.
Wow. And you said, and first of all, let me pause for the cause. If anyone actually happens to be, as anyone's listening to this live or watching this live, you can feel free to hit that Q&A panel or that Q&A button at the bottom if anyone has a question they would like to ask Amber. And so, you know, so as you grew up here, kind of, you know, middle class as you describe it, what in terms of what money meant to you in transitioning from one career into the one you have now, was there like, is there a process to some kind of a, I don't know, certification or something like that you have to get to do what you do right now? Like, I mean, you know, don't you have to be licensed or something like that? I don't know. I'm just kind of asking. I don't know.
Yeah, you do have to be licensed. So I'm a licensed, technical term would be a registered representative, and there's a series of licenses that you can go through. And really, what I find unfortunate is that even through my licenses, you know, it gives you a lot of technical skills, but you also have to learn some of the soft skills and understanding how people think, but also, you know, what is people's relationship to money. And so, yeah, through the years, I've gotten numerous certifications to understand the money side of things, but as well understanding the human side of things too.
What do you mean by soft skills and those sorts of things? What does that mean to somebody like me that's just a normal guy? What are soft skills?
Sure. So soft skills, just communication and how people think about, like I mentioned, the money blueprint, and what is your relationship to money. So oftentimes I think of as money as a relationship because there's often an emotional tie to it that people have. It usually brings up good memories or bad memories, or a good feeling or a bad feeling. And so helping people understand that money really is just a tool, and it's the person that can help make the lifestyle or whatever it is that you want. And then, money isn't everything, right? What Warren Buffett says, money's not everything, but it's just about as important as the oxygen we breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And so having an understanding of what it does, what it can do, most people were never taught that in school. And that's one of the things that I know myself and a few others are really passionate about, making sure people understand just the basic concepts so that they can be empowered to make decisions for themselves, really.
So how should we look at money? I mean, what should money be in our life?
Well, money's not a bad thing. Again, I grew up with the concept that money is a bad thing, and that if you are to be a good person, that you're not to be wealthy. You're kind of the saint or the martyr who, if you're doing good things, then you're typically not going to make a lot of money. Or if you're doing what you love, you're not going to make a lot of money. And again, coming from healthcare, I was making basically minimum wage based on the hours I was putting in, and doing good things, feeling really good about myself, but not getting to live the life that I wanted either. And excuse me. And so understanding that you can live in the world of and. Just because you're doing good things, I think, means you should actually have more wealth to your name, because my experience is good people who have money do more good things. They're the people who are funding charities and giving back to their communities and doing whatever it is they can to help support people who are not as fortunate as they are.
Wow, you just said something in there, living a life of and. I mean, that's pretty. That's pretty dynamic. Just that concept itself. I mean, that I can do this and that, as opposed to this or that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes we feel like in order to have everything, we have to give up something. And maybe in life we don't have to give up something. I mean, it's a journey, but maybe it's possible that I can change the world and I can co-create a world of intimacy and unconditional connection, and be successful and be prosperous and those sorts of things. Is there a difference between rich and wealthy?
Absolutely. So, excuse me. Excuse me. A very young age, I met a stranger, and I think I was probably about 8 years old. And I said, one day I'm going to grow up and be rich. And he said, young lady, you already are rich. I think what you mean is you want to be wealthy. And so we can live very rich lives with our relationships and our service to others, and what we do is very enriching into our lives. And then to be wealthy is the actual accumulation of money.
Wow. That's I mean, actually, just as we were talking, that just came up. Is there a difference now? Is there a difference between rich, wealthy, and prosperous?
I think prosperous adds in the element of happiness, and it's always, in my world, it's an inside out job. And so, you become prosperous, you have a rich life, you have great relationships, you're giving back to the community and being of service to others, however that looks for you. And the accumulation of wealth. And, so it really, each level, I do think that they're different levels is to, but again, not just the tangible, monetary, measurable things. It's hard to measure one's happiness, right? And, but all of that starts internally, and then it expands externally into your world around you.
Wow. So can money make you happy?
Can money make you happy? You know, I just heard this saying at the conference I was at, and they said, you know, money can't make you happy, or what did it say? It said, money can't buy you everything, but being broke can't buy you anything. And so, and you know, so there's definitely some correlation there. But happiness, again, is what you choose to be on the inside, and money, you can be broke and still be happy. You can be wealthy and still be miserable. And so it's not a direct correlation, but it does afford you things that you may want to do that do make you happier, you know, that give you more pleasure in life. If you know, I'm big on philanthropic adventures, and so you know, it makes me happier if I can donate money versus just my time, you know. So but being happy is a state of personal being. It's not related. You can be broke and be happier than the richest man.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess the reason I asked that and kind of where that came from, I just wonder, you know, if sometimes we struggle as a culture, or society, or just maybe even individuals with the notion of money and wealth and all that sort of thing, because either A, we're trying to chase happiness, or B, we think somehow that money is going to fulfill us in ways that life is not already fulfilling. And so, I mean, I wonder if we kind of are maybe a little bit off balance, or something along those lines in terms of the way we view wealth and money and that sort of thing in our culture. So let's talk to let's say, for example, let's pick a target audience. Let's say women, because yeah, you understand them. You've probably been an expert with that for 35 years as well. Yep. And so let's say there, and plus this is a UpliftHer target audience here. Let's say there's a woman that is finding herself, let's say, just starting off or hitting a reboot in life in terms of, let's say, for example, maybe she went through a divorce or something like that, and now she's kind of having to reset and relook at everything she has in her life. Are there any kind of things that she may want to consider in terms of when you talk about those soft skills, when you go into that situation? Are there anything that person or that woman would want to kind of consider in terms of her finances and what she should begin to look at as far as priority and that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think women are uniquely positioned when it comes to money to begin with. Excuse me. Typically, because we're the caretakers, because we're the ones who bear children, we experience less time in the workplace, meaning we're saving less in our 401ks just based on time alone. And then we live longer. And so we definitely have different needs than men when it comes to savings and money. And so if somebody's in that situation, and even if you're not in that situation, you know, you always want to have an idea of what are your goals and dreams, and where are you, and what do you need to do to get there. And that's part of what I do when I'm working with people, is helping them explore that and creating a path for that. And so, you know, making sure that you have an emergency savings and knowing what's coming in versus what's going out, and what the expected or change in income is going to be, and change in expenses will be as well for you. So we typically recommend a nest egg emergency savings of 3 to 6 months worth of your income. You know, if it's something that you're looking, that perhaps you're going to go through a separation, you may want to boost that up a little bit due to moving expenses and that sort of thing that can come along with that. And it's a difficult time, and the last thing you want to do is worry about money. And so, you know, thinking about that, and then, you know, it's not about just saving, it's also about where are we saving, and are we making our tax dollars, excuse me, efficient. and so that we are, you know, our dollar is more than a dollar, and making sure that we're not just putting it in the mattress, so to speak, and hoping that that same dollar in 20, 30 years is going to be the same dollar due to inflation, which you know, think about the cost of a gallon of milk over the last 20 years. That's what inflation does. And so we also need to make sure that we're saving in a place where our money is continually growing and outpacing inflation as well, at the bare minimum.
Do you help people find money in terms of, when I say find money, I'm talking about in terms of their life and their expenses and just that sort of stuff? I mean, a lot of people might think, man, I don't have any money. And I mean, when you sit down, and again, back to that whole soft skills kind of thing, do you sit down and actually help people find where they have money stuffed in their proverbial mattress in terms of their lifestyle?
Yes, absolutely. And I was that person. And so I know when I sat down and looked at my personal finances for the first time, I realized I had a lot of what I call unconscious spending, where I was just kind of nickel and diming myself every day throughout the day. And so I'll use coffee as example. I was drinking Starbucks coffee at least once a day, you know, 5 days a week. That's $25 roughly times 4. It was $100 a month on coffee. And then I would buy bottles of water at the store, and let's call that, you know, what if $2 a day now for a bottle of water, 30 days out of a month. I mean, that's $130 right there on liquid that I could have been making my coffee at home for probably $2 for the whole month and refilling my water bottle for free. And so there's absolutely so many ways that we go through life and just kind of, like I said, nickel and dime ourselves, where it really adds up at the end of the day. And so that way we become more conscious about our spending, and it really doesn't, we're not coming up with new dollars. Typically those dollars are going out anyways. We're just figuring out, where are they going, and do we need to reallocate those to more specific goals that you have? You know, and it becomes more of an awareness, which allows for you to be empowered when you're making those decisions of, do I need a Starbucks today? So I still like my coffee, but I switched to McDonald's. I actually prefer it now. It's not quite as strong for me. So, but $1 a day versus $5 a day, you know, those little things that we can do, little adjustments where we're not totally sacrificing everything. You know, and then of course, Kirk, as you know, I love my wine. And so that is a budget that had to be looked at, and maybe a little bit of a sacrifice, but, you know, absolutely. That's so many times people are like, I'm at my wit's end. So many people feel paycheck to paycheck, and really just with a click exploration, we can say, okay, you know, you can choose how you spend your money regardless. And is it, I'm spending it on today on this thing, or am I going to spend it for my future and put it into a savings?
So if you help someone find, say, $150 in their budget a month, and if you were to redirect or reallocate that, what could that do for them over say 30 years?
Over 30 years, and I actually just did this recently, and using $100 over 30 years, that's an extra $130,000 in your retirement savings potentially.
Wow.
So $100 a month, which we don't think is very much, but it's this great concept called compounding interest. And the rule is 72. And what that means is that the higher your interest, the faster your money will double. And when you have that compounded with tax advantage strategies, then that $100 can go a long, long way for you.
Wow. Now, do you find that some people just don't even wanna, or maybe they're embarrassed? I don't know. Maybe some people don't even want to dig into their finances.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's definitely a soft spot for people, and I personally was very ashamed and embarrassed where I was at, and it's one of those things. You rip the Band-Aid off. You take a couple hours and go through. It feels vulnerable. It really does. It feels like you're exposing yourself, but you come out of it so much stronger. You know, it's kind of like anything new that you try, you're really nervous and you're not sure and you're supposed to be here. And as you mentioned earlier, the societal norms, I guess, if you will, of what we're supposed to be doing and where we're supposed to be, and we're always trying to keep up, and just understand that actually most people are in the same boat. My hope is that people will overcome that fear or overcome that embarrassment to truly be in a better position. It's moving on, and as we understand relationships and intimacy and that sort of thing, it's kind of like getting naked in front of your partner for the first time and with the lights on, you just see everything. Oh my gosh,
Wow.
But know that it's okay, and we're here to support. And I just learned how to golf this last summer, and I tried to go out by myself and do it on my own, and I don't know enough about golf, and nor do I dedicate the time to learn about it. And so I think about the concept of money a lot like a sport, and if you're going to do a sport for the first time, it's best to get a lesson first and understand some basic concepts, and then have somebody who can help guide you and say, don't swing like that, don't hit like that, don't do that, oh, do this. And once you get through that initial shock, I guess it's really, really beneficial and really eye-opening, and it becomes from this place of vulnerability to a place of empowerment and control.
Wow. Have you ever sat down with somebody that you just couldn't help at all?
No.
I was hoping that was the answer.
Yeah, no. There are times when I'm not able to help them monetarily, but what we do is we start working to get on that mindset, and what are the habits that have led us up to this point, and what do we need to shift? And I'll use one of my best friends as an example. We started out with a budget and building up their emergency savings and saying, okay, every month you're gonna put $5 away. And that's where we were at the time. And now she's able to put $100 away. They have insurance, they have savings started. And so it's a process as well. And it takes some time to get used to. But now, I have another client that I'm working with that right now, she's not in a financially place where she can start saving, but we're pulling in our resources and we're helping her get the things that she needs so that she can start creating that foundation.
Wow. Yeah, that I was hoping you'd say no. You've helped everybody. I was pretty sure about that one. For sure. Now, we only have like a few seconds left, but really quick, is this also something that, like what you do, is it possible that someone could maybe even think of a career change and you kind of help them in that way as well?
Absolutely. That's actually how I got started. I started with the company part-time. I was looking for a way to have more money. So I had gone through the whole cut down the budget, reallocate the money, and there still wasn't enough because I actually had just gone through a breakup. I was engaged and we decided not to continue. And so I found myself in a similar situation, and as we talked about before, and I needed more income. There's only so much you can cut away. At some point, you have to have a way to make more money. And me being in healthcare, I had such a sporadic schedule that I couldn't go get your typical second job, working retail or something like that, waiting tables, because I never knew when I was going to be still at the hospital. So I started this part-time, and that's something that I do now, is help people earn some supplemental income while learning how money works and helping others understand the same.
Fantastic. Hey, really quick, how can someone get a hold of you if they wanna talk or connect further?
Absolutely. So I'm super easy to find. I'm the whole first page of Google.
Nice.
But my phone number, 303-548-9066, is probably the best. You can call or text me. And then email, of course, Amber Schoenrock, SCHOENROCK @gmail.com. And so very easy to find though.
Yeah. And of course, anybody can reach out to me, and I'll definitely point people in your direction. Now, are you licensed just in Colorado, or how does that work?
No, I am licensed in about 10 different states. So Texas, California, Arizona, Wyoming, Michigan, West Virginia. And so national, if anybody's local, happy to meet with you one-on-one. If you're national, of course, we have great technology these days where we can do that. And so able to help wherever anybody is.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We're winding down our time here. Man, you're one of the, I mean, you know, we're like that. I mean, we really are. And I appreciate you tremendously, your friendship. I appreciate your stewardship, your leadership, all those kinds of things. And I just appreciate you doing this. So let me just end with I guess a word of encouragement for whoever you are out there that might be listening. And that encouragement is that you are indeed a bright spot on somebody's dark night, or you can be. And I believe that when you look in the mirror, you're the answer to someone else's problem. And all you have to do is just open up who you are and just shine your light. And your light is enough to light up someone else's dark places. And so I just want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank you, Amber, for joining here early in the morning, even though you're sick, and shining your light into some dark places. And I just encourage you and everyone else to just get and stay connected. Thank you so much, girl. You take care, and we will be in touch. Bye-bye.